This video is about naming binary ionic compounds. So far, we've learned how to write basic Lewis structures. We've learned what ionic compounds actually are and how to identify them. And now we're going to look at how to name binary ionic compounds and how to write the chemical formula from the name. First of all, what is a binary ionic compound? It's an ionic compound that consists of two different elements. Hence the prefix bi, just like bicycle has two wheels. So let me show you some examples of some binary ionic compounds. We have NaCl. Na is one, Cl is two elements. Put them together, you have sodium chloride. BaF2, you have barium, you have fluorine as a different type of element. You have two types of elements, barium fluoride. Aluminum oxide, you have aluminum, you have oxygen. There's two types of elements, therefore aluminum oxide. Same thing with strontium oxide, you have Sr and O. What I want you to see is what are the commonalities between those names. You probably said the IDE on the end, and also they were named with the metal at the beginning. If you said that, that's really good. And so that's what we're going to go with from here on out. So how do we name an ionic compound? Well, first we write the name of the metal, and then we write the root of the nonmetal, just the root word. Like for bromine, we'd write brome. For chlorine, we'd write chlor. And then we add the suffix IDE to the root of the nonmetal. So examples here, we have NaBr. So we say sodium, that's the name of the metal, write the root of the nonmetal. So Br is bromine, so we write brome. And then we add the suffix IDE to the root of the nonmetal. That's where we get bromide. The second one, we have Aln. So we have aluminum, that's our metal. And then instead of writing nitrogen, we write nitra, which is the root of the nonmetal. And then we simply add "ide" for aluminum nitride. Now I want you guys to try just going from the name to, or from the formula to the name. Pause your video and try, and then I'll show you how. Okay, the first one here is SRP2. It doesn't really matter when it's binary here and you have representative elements. It doesn't really matter what the 3 is and what the 2 is. For the subscripts, we still write the metal, which is strontium. And then we have P is phosphorus, but we don't want to write out full phosphorus. We typically say phosphide. So we have strontium phosphide. The second one, we name the metal, which is calcium. And then instead of bromine, we take the root brome and we add the suffix IDE, bromide. And then finally, we have potassium. And for oxygen, we typically say ox. I have no idea how I spell potassium there. We say ox, and then we put the IDE on there, oxide. Now, how do we write a chemical formula? So it's easy to go from the chemical formula to the name, but it's a little more challenging to go the other direction. So looking at the numbers, if you see the suffix IDE, you'll know that the formula is binary ionic. So you're looking for this suffix here. Write the metal symbol and the nonmetal symbol. Metal is always written first in a compound. Then you're going to check the periodic table for ionic charges. Crisscross applesauce and reduce to lowest terms. Hey, that sounds really familiar from last lesson. So let's look at some examples here. We have magnesium sulfide. So we write the metal first, Mg and S. And we notice sulfide comes from sulfur. And so we look at the periodic table, and magnesium would make a 2+ ion, and sulfur would make a 2- ion. And if we crisscross, we would get Mg2 S2, but notice 2 can divide into 2, so we'll just have MgS to reduce. Now potassium nitride, potassium's K. Nitride comes from nitrogen, and it's N. Potassium has a +1 charge. Nitrogen would make a 3- charge. So we crisscross, and we get K3N. Then we have sodium phosphide. We have sodium. Phosphide comes from phosphorus. Ooh, look, we have a nap. So sodium has a +1 charge. And phosphorus is right under nitrogen, so it would have also a 3- charge. So if we crisscross, we're going to get Na3P. Maybe we can get 3 naps. All right, now you try and then pause the video and I'll go through the answers with you. Okay, let's go through lithium sulfide. So we have lithium is Li. Sulfide we know comes from sulfur. We find lithium on the periodic table is a +1 charge. Sulfur is a 2- charge from finding that on the periodic table. And so we crisscross and we get Li2S. Beryllium nitride, beryllium's Be, nitrogen is N. Beryllium, looking at the periodic table, is a 2+ charge. Nitrogen's a 3- charge. If we crisscross, we have Be3N2. And finally, we have aluminum, and phosphide comes from phosphorus. So aluminum on the periodic table is a 3+ charge. Phosphorus is a 3- charge. So if we crisscross, we're going to get Al3P3, which will reduce down to Alp. So again, we have to use our skills using the periodic table and just to find the charges, and you guys will get very used to